Welcome to Freedomist NewsWatch Daily. This is for Wednesday, April 7th, 2021. I am your host, Paul Gordon Collier. You can read all of this stuff at Freedomist.com. When you go to Freedomist.com, you switch on you click on the NewsWatch page link above, and I know you don't see it in here. And I plan on doing something about that maybe by next week. You click on that and you will get a link of, well, a whole bunch of links to all the stories that we've aggregated from about 1,000, it depends on the day, but generally about 1,000 to 1,500 links a day are, well, we go through and then we aggregate them and we put them up into different categories here. And I know you can't see the page fully, but I'm going to take it to the NewsWatch page here briefly just so you can. Yeah, I know it's cut off. There's reasons for it. I want to get into it, but I'm going to fix this eventually. But you can go here and you can see a whole bunch of, you just go here and there's tons and tons of links that I've aggregated for you, and then you can get a sense of what's going on in the world. And we create topics. We have a global tax plan, and well, we got some stuff. So without further ado, let's get ready to get to our first story. Critical race theory gets parental backlash in California courts. This is our Editor's Choice Report top story that we're going to talk about here today. This is from, where are you from? Where are you from? I hate when you do that. I don't like that. This is Legal Insurrection. So the excerpt here is now an official piece of California public school system. The contentious Ethnic Studies Model Curriculum, ESMC, has continued to inspire controversy in its home state. Indeed, this week the California Assembly Education Committee holds its first hearing on whether ethnic studies should become a mandatory part of the statewide curriculum. Get a little bit more from the story because this is quite interesting, and you can see here. We have here pupil instruction, high school graduate requirements, ethnic studies. There it is. You have to go through this ethnic studies. You must learn their church, their religion. And Legal Insurrection continues here. We've been following the ESMC debate for months and have signed or covered multiple efforts by activists and academics alike to rid the documents of the neo-Marxist-inspired ontological framework. And if you don't know what that means, it just means being existent. So it's their fundamental assumption about existentiality is basically the world is defined by race, gender, sexual preference, the historical flow, and everybody is held accountable according to the historical context of the particular class or group that they are in most cases born into. It's very I'll just say at the very least it could lead towards very bigoted assumptions. Now Google News here, if you look for critical race theory schools, there's other things going on here. We have Loudoun County parents at war over critical race theory and curriculum. Grassroots organizations formed to help parents fight critical race theory and politicization in classrooms. Who's afraid of critical race theory? Philadelphia Philanthropy Magazine, another one. The critical race training juggernaut. Has it reached your school district yet? From Fox News, Texas GOP state lawmakers introduce bill to ban critical race theory in state public schools. And in the course of watching this show, we're going to be going back and forth again and again with critical race theory. And while we don't have the show planned exactly yet, my brother Bill Collier, my identical twin, and I will be doing a news analysis show. We're going into a little bit more detail on critical race theory, but it's sufficient to say that as of right now, that many parents are starting to begin to wake up to the realization that their children are being trained to believe that their parents are either beasts, animals, vicious, cold killers, or really, really weak and desperately need the angels amongst the killers to rescue them. Either way, it's extremely demoralizing to children, and they're introducing this even at the elementary school level. So when you take a phrase like whiteness, for instance, and you have it within a clinical setting, and you can talk about it within a very measured sense, you can talk about this thing called whiteness. As soon as you take it outside of the of the high levels of academia, and you let it loose upon the world, whiteness takes on a life of its own, and the whiteness connotation is extremely negative. And I've heard stories already of some children who have been breaking down crying when they come home because either they believe that they are hideous beasts, or they believe that their parents are hideous beasts, or they believe that they're fundamentally at threat because there's hideous beasts all around. So it's doing a lot of damage to children already. It's a horrible thing, and we'll go into more detail for sure as we go along, but that's not the purpose of this show. The purpose of this show, just give you a quick hit, and then got the links there. You can dig. Let's get to our next story here. This is going to be a lovely story. You guys are going to love this one. That's sarcasm. Europe, U.S. push for world corporate global tax. And this is a topic report, so we're going to look and see what the world has to say about this idea of a world global tax. EU looks for global tax agreement by June. Wow. By June. They're hoping to have a global tax agreement by June after push from U.S. This is from Bloomberg.com. Explore what's moving in the global economy. Okay, I don't really care about that. Stephanomics? What is Stephanomics podcast? I have no idea. So you're not gonna give me whatever. You suck. Subjectively, of course. Subjectively, and then you're going to give me a pop-up. So we have European Union officials are looking to wrap up a global agreement to harmonize corporate taxes and impose more effective levies on internet giants by the end of June, following an appeal from the U.S. And who do you think is going to benefit from that? It's going to be a giant slush fund that will enable the global. I don't even like using the word globalist. It's really, they're not globalists. They're competing with one another. Trust me, there's no one globalist that is controlling everyone. It's basically a bunch of very well-off, very powerful individuals who have figured out that, hey, we can work around this whole nation-state limitation altogether. Why? Light bulbs are standardized, and they're standardized. I mean, they are in this case. It's not exactly a great analogy because I would say standardization is somewhat useful. But the primary motivation for light bulbs being standardized is so that companies can enter their product into multiple markets without having to vary it. So it's a lot cheaper for them, and that's pretty much the principles going on here. They're trying to internationalize standards that will allow them to more easily move across nation-state boundaries with little nation-state accountability. Who gets to? Are they going to create a governing body that's going to decide what to do about this global tax? They're going to create the global tax before there is a governing body at place. A governing body that, amongst nation-states, you have various assumptions regarding the nature of authority and how authority is legitimized. Some nation-states believe in the consent of the governed, so to speak. Some still have some notion of divine right authority, and how are you going to reconcile all of that? But somehow they're just going to create this tax by June. I doubt very much that'll happen. Let's see, another one here from TripTown.com. We failed the test of COVID-19, says human rights champion. Don't know why that's in there. That shouldn't be in there. You suck. Europe feeling optimistic about global tax agreement on corporate giants. And that is from Fortune. And then from Reuters, we got Explainer. What is a global minimum tax and how could it affect companies, countries? Senate Democrats release international tax frame. This is jdsupra.com. And we have Germany and France see global tax deal in reach after U.S. pledge. And again, a lot of unanswered questions here that as this thing gets closer, more and more people are going to start asking these questions. You know, the who, what, whys, and whens and wheres are, they haven't even been discussed. It's just somehow this is going to save the children. Whew. I had to cough there, and I didn't want to cough while I was recording the segment, so I had to hold that cough in. But I did it. I'm going to take a little bit of sip of coffee here for a variety of reasons. One, to clear my throat, and the other because I need the caffeine, folks. I got to wake up. Got to get this going. I'm drinking Jamaica Me Crazy coffee right now, so it's good. It's good. Let's get to the next story here. Forbes list shows pandemic shutdown benefits wealthiest. That's right, the wealthiest are benefiting from the pandemic shutdown. We are seeing people that are... I was watching a video today about what I can't remember his first name, whatever his name is, Zizek, whatever. Sometimes he says he's a Marxist, sometimes he says he's a Hegelian, and I'm not a Marxist, I'm not a Hegelian, but I learned from everyone, even from Zizek. And he was talking about how basically corporations have become sort of, they're already kind of communist. They've started to basically claim the commons ownership, but while they're doing that, they're also fighting for Zizek, and I think he rightly focuses on this. He focuses on the intellectual property and how they can pass all the laws they want, but trying to hold intellectual property in the hands of rebels is really hard. How do you keep intellectual property out of people's heads? You can't lock that up. You could try to penalize people for using it without quote unquote permission, but so you get this dichotomy going on within these corporations that have consolidated power to such a degree that they're now able to make these arrangements, mutual assured. I guess mutual assured survival is maybe what it is, but they're de facto creating these states. They're states outside of nation states that have all of the types of controls that a communist totalitarian system has. And that's in part, I think, what we're seeing here with this Forbes list shows pandemic shutdown benefits the wealthiest. The Forbes list, this is from Vox.com, the Forbes list reveals that the number of billionaires in the world spiked by 30% during the pandemic. So we have, I didn't see the number yet, but I've been using 614 American billionaires. I haven't seen the list yet. So, I looked at it briefly, but I didn't go through the details of it yet. So I'll let you know later how many new billionaires we have. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos top Forbes record-setting billionaire list. And of course, got to put in there Trump lost some. That's not a surprise that Trump lost wealth during the 4 years that he was president. Forbes lists 22,755 wealthiest billionaires in the world. Now, there's more than 2,755 billionaires. These are the wealthiest, so I don't know how many billionaires. But note that 35 billionaires are in U.S. healthcare. A lot of billionaires being made right now, I'll tell you that. Tyler Perry is a billionaire. Kim Kardashian is a billionaire. Kanye West is a billionaire. All these people have contributed tremendously. At least you could argue. Well, Kanye West at least creates music, and Tyler Perry creates movies. I'm not sure I like either one of them, musically or movily. Kim Kardashian, I don't know. So glad that Kim Kardashian is a billionaire. It's great. The world's billionaires adds $5 trillion to their wealth during the pandemic, because during the pandemic, businesses are going out of business and the companies are buying up. They're taking their market shares and they're taking their intellectual property. So that's more important than anything long term. Intellectual property, folks. Intellectual property is the new land, is the new capital. Everybody who is anybody must have some organ within their empire that holds massive amounts of intellectual property. And you could make millions of dollars a month just off of suing people, whether there's a legitimate case or not, just suing people for your intellectual property. So that's the world we live in. More on this later. Whew, let's get to the next story. This is we're going to the world. We're going to look at the world here, folks. We got a world story for you, and it's gonna knock your socks off here because, well, it just is. Myanmar junta fights culture by arresting it. See, this is what you do. If you really want to win the culture war, all you have to do is have the guns, to arrest all of the people that are part of whatever culture you want to end. I mean, that's what it's all about. Myanmar has figured it out. They're going to win the culture war. I actually don't think they will win in this case, but they're going to give it a good try, and who knows, maybe they will. This is from cbc.ca. Myanmar authorities arrest country's best-known comedian amid ongoing crackdown. And I want to go to this story because I get a little bit more meat for this one. Comedian and social activist Zarganar, pictured here in 2011, was arrested by Myanmar authorities on Tuesday in Yangon. Yep, that's what you do. See, if the Republicans had the gun power that the Democrats have, the Republicans would probably start arresting like Jeff Bezos and, well, maybe even, I don't know where Tyler Perry fits into the culture war. I don't know if he's DNC or what he is, but, you know, that's what they would do. That's what they would probably do. And if the DNC thought that they could get away with it, well, no, I think they are already doing that. The DNC is already in large part doing that. They are, whether it's arresting people or just using corporations to freeze people out of existence. That's the same net effect as being arrested. You're essentially no longer able to make a living. You're pretty much under really extreme house arrest. Authorities in Myanmar arrested the country's best-known comedian on Tuesday as they continue to crack down on people they accuse of helping to incite nationwide protest against February's military coup. This is what all governments do. They just declare anybody that has dissenting views, this is why it's always dangerous if you think that you want to get into the business of trying to control quote-unquote misinformation and you give that power to a government, that government will always take that power and use it to quell all dissent. I keep trying to warn all you folks that are still aligned with the DNC, and I'm not saying go to the RNC, because I think the RNC might very well do the same thing at the DNC, as the DNC if they had the power, and they have in various ways in the past. But if you're part of the DNC and you think you're safe, you're not safe. I'm telling you, unless you are near the top of the power structure, you are not safe, because at some point you're going to realize they're not going to come through with any of their promises. And then you're going to be like, wait, you're not. And then while you say right now you support the social media companies cutting off people for spreading misinformation and things that undermine democracy, that's going to be you. You're going to fit into that very category, you see, because the truth of government is in the guns that it possesses and how it can effectively use it against its own people, not in anything objective whatsoever. There's no objective truth in government other than violence. And if you could get that in your head, then maybe all of us poors, we could more readily find one another and realize that even most of the people marching out there on whether you're the Trumpians marching or whether you're the SJW, whatever you want to call them, marching, most of these people marching on those streets have far more in common with one another than they do with all of the people that are at the top that are whipping them into these frenzies of fear and hate. And Myanmar is a classic example. And keep watching Myanmar and see how people are dealing with this regime and how they're getting around it, because they are. More on that later. Going to the Ukraine. We're still following the Ukraine. So as you can see right now, as we do these stories, you'll see some stories we're going to keep following them until there's no reason to follow them. Nothing exactly, really dramatic going on. In this case, the Ukraine still very much warrants watching. So we're going to talk about that next. Ukraine's hope for NATO status as protection dimming after U.S. comments. This is a new wrinkle. I think I'm very fast. This just shows the complexity of how nation states must involve themselves in the lives of other nation states. In the case of the United States of America, they really don't want the NATO. Well, they don't want to take on the financial and military responsibility of having Ukraine become part of NATO, because once they're part of NATO, then all NATO members are compelled to defend Ukraine. They're not necessarily wanting to have to commit to defending Ukraine should Russia decide that they've had enough. But at the same hand, they also want to keep messing with Russia. And no fault. within the nation-state parameters. No fault on them. I'm not judging anybody in this case. I judge all nation-state parameters in general, but I mean, there's very rarely you see nation-states that are acting in any degree righteously. If you want to go through Romans 13 and tell me which nation-state is measuring up to those standards, I'm going to tell you there's none out there. If there is one, it must be one of these small little microstates somewhere. So Ukraine is being told by the United States, maybe not so much. This is from voanews.com. U.S. won't commit to NATO membership for Ukraine. The United States reaffirmed its commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity Tuesday. See, yeah, that's their ability to be able to get their influence, their people, to be able to capitalize off of Ukrainian resources and empires, especially now that the United States is becoming more of an empire than a republic with empire possessions. We were kind of like the Roman Republic right before. I've always said this for a long while I've been saying this, that we're kind of like the Roman Republic right before, well, really right before Julius Caesar. And we had, well, if you know Roman history, you know about the Gracchi brothers, and both of them ended up getting killed, and both of them essentially were promising land reform. They were promising to give the soldiers the land that they were promised. And then Marius really undid it when he just opened up the military to everyone, and they started to form their allegiance around generals rather than the republic itself. It's kind of like what's happened here in America, where people are allied far more to their parties than they are to the United States of America itself. And then the problem is that Rome had all kinds of opportunities to expand and create empire and to bring into its cannibalistic system resources from its victims, and that's what the United States plans on doing here, and the Ukraine is a big part of that, but they don't want to commit all the way, and you can kind of understand. You see this from Meduza.io. The Kremlin's calculations have changed. Russia is building up troops near the border with Ukraine. We ask experts if full-scale war is inevitable. Let's see what they say here real quick. And let's say, from a military point of view, the situation is characterized as another surge in tension. There's still a chance that this problem can be resolved through negotiation, but there's little hope for this, unfortunately. So, okay, it looks like Russia can't abandon Donbass. It cannot. Like I said before, Russia cannot let this go. Russia cannot allow the West to have a strong influence in the Ukraine because it remembers the Crimean War, and it is not going to cede the Crimea. If it loses the Crimea, it loses access to so much wealth and resources right up here in the Black Sea, whatever seas they are. So it can't afford to do that. So, but remember, there's nuclear weapons. So this is going to be a proxy. If it is a war, it's going to be a proxy war. It's not going to be United States troops fighting. It'll be Ukrainians being supported by the West and Russians that will maybe fight directly. But I think the Russians are going to probably want to use Russian Ukrainians as opposed to Russian military at some point. Russian military will serve in support system, but I don't think that they'll want, as much as possible, they will not want to fight Ukrainians directly. These superpowers, such as they are, they prefer to fight proxy wars, let other nation states die with their sons rather than in their own, because it's bad. It's bad when your sons die in a war in general. It hurts the cause. I mean, you'll do it if you have to, but if you can fight proxy wars, you'd much rather do that. So that's the situation in Ukraine, and we'll keep you posted as there are more changes. This one's that's a fun story. I did this story for funs, folks, because I love you guys. I love you guys. I don't even know who you are, but I love you anyway. Mystery drone swarms attacking world's navies. Mystery drone swarms attacking world's navies. Or you could say mystery swarms of drones are attacking navies. This is from KMJ Now. KMJ Now. Welcome to KMJ Now live. Literally right now we are live. If you're watching the replay, then I'm not lying. I was live. Technically. Navy official, no indications mysterious drones are extraterrestrial. That's good to know. Let's see. Check this puppy out. There's a Navy official. I don't know. He kind of looks stunned. Like, wait, are you seriously asking me if there were aliens? Have we really come down to that? If there are aliens, are you kidding me? No. This is not the face that you have when you're imbued with confidence in the person who just asked you the question. So what? No. Okay. Is the Earth flat? That's kind of like that. What? What did you say? No offense to flat earthers, but yeah. The swarm of drones that hovered around U.S. destroyers off the coast of California remains unidentified, but there are no indications at all that they are extraterrestrial, according to a top Navy official. Is this just a generic Navy official, not even the actual Navy official? They have oh no, here we go. Never mind. No, we have not made any conclusions on the identity of the drones, Admiral Michael Gilday told the Defense Writers Group event Monday to Washington NBC News reports. And I guess that's Michael Gilday. Oh, Gilday. I thought I said Gilday. Gilday is good. Gilday. I mean, that's a nice last name. Gidday. Gilday. That's a nice positive name. But Gilday, I don't know. Gilday sounds kind of... Gilday sounds like a medicine for, like, constipation. Try Gilday's. You'll never be backed up again. And look, his face is matching it. That could be the face if you just... Right there. Gilday. Never feel like this man ever again. Let's see if we got some other stuff here. U.S. Navy still doesn't know what ship stalking drones were. That's from Gizmodo. The USS Kidd, a Navy-guided missile destroyer at the center of the drone incident in July 2019. Oh, they got a picture of it. Let's see the picture. There we go. The USS. So that's the one that faced off with the drones and lived to tell this tale. News of the incident was first reported by The Drive, which wrote that deck logs obtained under U.S. Freedom of Information Act shows warships near the sensitive military training range of the Channel Islands were regularly buzzed for days by drones. The unidentified aerial drones began their prolonged runs in the evening, often during low visibility conditions. The Drive also used hundreds of gigabytes of automatic identification system ship location data to forensically reconstruct the occurrences. Oh my gosh, is there a video somewhere? I would love to see the video. They should make a video for it. I don't know why. Gizmodo, no, I'm not going to subscribe to you. No. Yeah, I am a Freedomist friend already. You can become a Freedomist friend, but I already am a Freedomist friend, so I don't have to worry about that. And the Navy finally speaks on mysterious West Coast drone swarms. And the way they spoke was, I don't know. How to watch Doug and Bob's SpaceX rocket blast off again on Wednesday. I don't know how that got in there. All right. Navy chiefs clueless about the origin of flashing Tic-Tac-shaped UFOs. So that's Tic-Tac-shaped UFO. Tic-Tac. Tic-Tac. Oh, Tic-Tac. Tic-Tac. Tic-Tac-shaped UFOs. So it was Tic-Tac-shaped UFOs. So that's new information. So I'll let you, the reader, decide what all that means. I think it probably means the end is near. I'm just kidding. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. All right. Well, let's see. Yeah, let's just do this last story here. Let me see. Let me just see. Should I do this story? I don't think I'm going to do this one. Nobody cares about this. You know what? I'll do this story. But I'm not going to record this one. Nobody cares about this. This is the future of... you know what? I will record it. I don't care. I'm going to anyway. The future of freedom farming, micro-farming. This is a Freedom Headlines report. This is a top story from the Freedom Headlines report. These are, by the way, these headlines, if you look at them, I'll just go over it. We have, is a decentralized ecosystem of small micro-farms the future for farming? Converting just one, and that's from Reddit, converting just 1% of America's farmland to agrivoltaics. I don't even know what agrivoltaics would meet nation's renewable energy targets, save water, and create a sustainable long-term food system. These are things you know. Go to freedomist.com and check these out. These are cool stuff. I put these up every day, Monday through Friday. Reward system allows decentralized messaging app users to earn crypto. Scientists grow tiny brains in 3D printed bioreactor. That's from SciTech Daily. The last one was from Cointelegraph. 100 gigabytes per second wireless PSP communicator is near. This is from Next Big Future. How scientists grew human muscles in pig embryos and why it matters for organ transplants. That's from singularityhub.org. And then we have how a moving platform for 3D printing can cut waste and costs. These are just positive stories, but let's go to here. This is urban farming versus microfarming, so you can understand a little bit about what microfarming is. Urban farming and microfarming are similar in many ways, but different in one specific way, and this is from morningchores.com. You can raise, an urban farm is exactly what it sounds like. This is when you live in a city and are working towards self-sufficiency. You can raise container gardens on your balcony and have small hydroponic setup, blah, blah, blah. But microfarming is when you're living in a rural or a suburban setting. You have a quarter acre of land or less, and that is what you can do with that is, on this amount of land, you could grow a small orchard, a small traditional garden, raise bees, have a greenhouse, raise chickens, ducks, rabbits, and even a few goats. And this person is saying, when we began homesteading, we started with microfarming. As a matter of fact, I am looking into getting into microfarming myself, and this is what Google News has to say about microfarming. Babylon Microfarms attracts $3 million seed funding to scale nationally. Well, we don't want that. That kind of defeats that. We want decentralized microfarming. We want everybody microfarming. Everybody microfarming, and if you're urban farming, grow as much of your food as you can. Learn what your neighbors are growing, and then you can start to make arrangements to say, okay, I'll grow this, you grow this, and we'll all cover one another. There's so many opportunities technologically for us to smash the system. If you want to smash the archy, whatever archy you want to smash, all you got to do is create small-scale opportunities for individuals and free consensual associations so that we can rely on one another and not on the systems of control that are in the hands of the billionaires, the 600 or so billionaires in America, for instance, that make most of the decisions that you are allowed to make in the first place. They create an environment of cooperation. And cooperation, if you heard on my other show, cooperation is a word I use between an exchange of value, which is subject to one party being significantly power advantage over the other, and acting in that capacity. You can have a power advantage and not act in that power advantage. You can act in a consensual way where you're seeking for everybody to, I guess you could say, win. But anyway, a little bit more here. We got Sky Urban Solutions, new microfarming system, farms to boost yields. Urban microfarm dream coming true in Mansfield. I don't know which Mansfield that is. I know a Mansfield. Interest in microfarm program spikes during pandemic. Experts discuss latest tech in building smart cities and landscapes. And that was Trade Arabia in that last one. And then we have here New Hope Network with the interest in microfarming, and Richland Source with urban microfarm dream come true. And Technology Times Pakistan with Sky Urban Solutions, new microfarm system, farms to boost yields. There you have it. Let's get to our last story. Moving on up to our last story. This story is very encouraging, at least to people like me. Wait till you see the Google News treatment of this. They's afraid. Having the ability to defend yourselves is one of the small-scale solutions. And I'll get to that. I want to record the video. I'll start recording now. Arizona passes law to protect citizens against Biden admin's assault on gun freedom. This is Top Stories report. And so, get this. Our top story is Arizona Governor Doug Ducey signs bill to defy any new federal gun control laws. And this is from The Blaze. And the excerpt from The Blaze. Carlos Garcia wrote this, saying Republican Governor Doug Ducey of Arizona signed a bill on Tuesday that would ban local governments and employees from enforcing or aiding any infringement on gun rights imposed by the federal government. That's what all states need to do. They need to pass these laws. Whatever you want to call them, are these gun sanctuary states? That's the phrase that's used. No, these are states that are recognizing that their citizens have constitutional rights, which supersede any federal government power. So long as we are to be a nation of laws, if we're going to have our rule of law standard being a legitimization of power, we have one king, and that's King Bill. King Bill is on paper. Bill of Rights, King Bill, not my brother Bill. King Bill, Bill of Rights. We have one king, and that king exists outside the system, and it's a king that all of us have access to directly. We just appeal directly to King Bill. That's why people say, I know my rights. That's King Bill they're appealing to. And so we're just recognizing the final authority, which is King Bill. It's not even the courts. It's King Bill. And if you fundamentally violate King Bill, and we all can figure out when you're doing it, well, then the states have a choice to make, which is we're going to go ahead and continue to recognize the ultimate authority is not the President of the United States or the Congress or the Supreme Court. It's King Bill. That's the ultimate authority in this land. So I applaud Doug Ducey for doing this. Some of the other headlines here for our top stories. Iranian spy ship damage and attack along major Red Sea shipping route. That's something I'm going to keep my eye on, see if that turns into anything. That could turn into a topic in a later show. Arkansas lawmakers ban youth transgender treatment and surgeries, overriding governor's veto. That's another story I'm watching. Well, that's going to probably turn into a topic soon, where I'm going to look at all of the different transgender laws and issues that are going on. Biden border wall. That's right. The admin considering filling gaps in the southern barrier. They might be trying to build a wall now. Child called 911 after 4, including parents, killed in apparent murder-suicide. That's a horrible story. The New York PD says very, very, just really disturbing. This is from Yahoo News. A 9-year-old girl called 911 after her father shot and killed 3 people, including her mother, in an apparent murder-suicide in Brooklyn on Monday evening, police said. Officers responded to the call about 11:30 p.m. Just really horrible. China confirms that its aircraft carrier formation conducts training near Taiwan, and the U.S. is there. And it's a fun place. Taiwan to hold drills simulating enemy invasion amid rising tensions with Beijing. That's another story I might be following soon, what's going on in Taiwan. And let's just look briefly at what Google has to say about Arizona gun laws. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey signs bill to preempt federal gun laws. Yeah, more like protect its citizen against unconstitutional gun laws. And then you have this hysteria from the Arizona Republic, which you shouldn't use the word Republic if you're going to write a headline like this. Because if you're afraid of your neighbors having guns, get out. You don't belong in the Republic, because that is a republic. And I mean small republic, not Republican. Or which way is it? No, big R, not small. I don't know which way it is. Anyway, not the Republican Party, because they're not actually Republicans. They're definitely rhinos in the truest sense of the term. But this headline still, God help us, the Arizona legislature has now declared the state a sanctuary for guns. Oh, I think whoever wrote that had the vapors when they wrote it. Oh, I've got the vapors. I think I'll leave it at that. Just imagine that. Journalist with the vapors writing this hysterical headline. Yeah. And that's it, folks. That is the show. We have ended our show. We're done. Let me go back to the home screen here, because you got to see the home screen, because it's all about the home screen. Go to Freedomist.com and you get all kinds. You get these daily. What I do is I do daily topic reports and daily freedom reports, daily editorial choice reports, and daily freedom headline. That's it. I do freedom. I do. I guess Freedomist headlines. Yeah. Anyway, go back there and you can click on. You go on here. You click on one of these things like here, and what you get on the report is you get a link. You get blurbs and you get links to multiple stories, so you can get a little bit of a purview of all the stuff that's being talked about. And it can, if you're really interested in the topic, you want to learn more, I give you a starting point, because these days you really can't just rely on one news source. You have to have multiple news sources, because almost all news outlets have an agenda they're lying to you. They're all lying. They're all looking to make you rather than serve you. Almost all news outlets, and the more money behind them, the more they want to make you rather than serve you. I mean, that's all. Everybody to a certain degree wants to make everyone the minute that they open their mouths and they talk to someone. But there are degrees and there are focus. If your starting point is making, my starting point is not making. My starting point is to serve human beings that are, well, primarily I'm looking to serve Christians operating in the civic. Well, we, the Freedomists, we are looking to serve Christians operating in the civic, although if you're not a Christian, you're welcome to partake as well. If you value consensual exchange, even if you're not Christian, I think you're going to appreciate a lot of the stuff that we cover, because we are primarily interested in equipping the individual to make informed decisions about what's going on in the world, and especially specifically the individual. We're not looking to make people that want freedom, that want consensual exchange. We're looking to serve the people that already want it. because we're out of the making business for right now. We're in the serving business, although, again, we can't completely be unmakers or desire completely not to make. And that's how I think we're going to end this episode. So I thank you all for joining us here on the Daily Freedomist Show. We'll see you tomorrow at probably about the same time, about noon. Sometimes it'll be a little bit earlier than noon. Sometimes it'll be a little bit later. On Wednesdays and Mondays, it might be a little bit earlier for reasons. I thank you for joining us. We'll go to freedomist.com. This is your host, Paul Gordon Collier. We'll see you when I see you.